You came back, which means part 1 hit exactly where it was supposed to. There are songs in this life that don't just remind you of a memory, they actually take you back there. The smell of the room, the person you were standing next to, the feeling you hadn't felt since. Maybe you haven't heard them in years, but the moment they start playing, every lyric somehow remembers you. Part 2 has 12 more of those songs. 12 more groups who built the soundtrack of a decade. The S.O.S band, Just Be Good to Me, 1983.
Tell me I am crazy.
Here is the story most music fans don't know. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis demoed Just Be Good to Me in a bathroom, using the echo off the tiles for the hand claps, a tiny Casio keyboard, and Terry's bass. When they traveled to Atlanta to record the S.O.S band's album, it was one of their first real chances to make producer decisions on their own terms. They had access to a Roland TR-808 drum machine in the studio, and, according to Jimmy Jam, they were among the first producers to truly use it as the sonic centerpiece of an R&B record. The night they finished mixing the song, Prince called and fired them both for working outside of the time. Just Be Good to Me hit number 2 on the Billboard R&B chart in 1983 and launched Jam and Lewis as the most important production duo of the decade. The song was later featured as the theme to Richard Pryor's stand-up film Here and Now, sampled by Tupac Shakur and covered by Beats International, who took their version to number 1 in the UK. Mary Davis's lead vocal, riding that 808 like it was built for her voice alone, is one of the great performances of the era. The record that got two men fired became the record that changed everything. Sometimes the biggest turning point in music history doesn't look like success at first. It looks like getting shown the door. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis got fired the night they made their first classic. The next group on this list built their sound without any producer help at all, and still topped the charts. '11. Climax, I Miss You, 1985.
Thought I heard your voice yesterday.
Climax didn't just play their own instruments, they wrote their own songs, produced their own records, and managed their own business at a time when the music industry gave self-contained female bands almost no room to exist.
Is it done and over this time?
Formed in Los Angeles in the early 1980s, around the partnership of drummer Bernadette Cooper and keyboardist Joyce Irby, the group assembled an all-female lineup that could handle everything in-house. Their sound ranged from high-energy funk to slow-burning quiet storm ballads, and I Miss You landed firmly in the latter, a delicate, aching late-night love song with a synth-string melody that felt hand-stitched around the listener's heart.
You still believe that you don't care.
I Miss You hit number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1985, making Climax one of the highest-charting all-female self-contained bands in R&B history at that point. Their single, Meeting in the Ladies' Room, had already proven they could move a dance floor. But I Miss You proved something harder to manufacture, that they could make you sit down, go quiet, and feel something.
If it's over now, be strong,
Great musicians can make people dance. Truly great musicians know when silence says even more.
I've been through worse kinds of weather.
Which of these two sides of climax do you connect with more? The funk or the slow jam? Drop it in the comments.
Just get me back with.
Climax proved a female band could do it all. The next group on this list proved a family could do it all. And they did it from a suburb of Minneapolis, carrying their Tongan roots with them the whole way.
It's driving me crazy. How did you know? 'Cause I never told, but you found out.
10. The Jets, Crush on You, 1986.
Don't push your weight, my heart's been displayed. You found out.
The Jets got their name from a song on the radio. Their manager, former Motown producer Don Powell, was driving through Minneapolis when Benny and the Jets by Elton John came on, and the name clicked.
You must have heard it from my best friend. She's always talking.
The group he was managing was 8 of the 17 Wolfgram siblings, a Tongan American family whose parents had immigrated to the U.S. from the South Pacific island of Tonga, eventually settling in Robbinsdale, a suburb of Minneapolis.
Can't keep a secret, this ain't her life. But still I trust you.
The family had spent years performing Polynesian-style shows at Hawaiian-themed hotels across the Midwest. When that hotel chain closed, the Wolfgrams stayed in Minnesota and pivoted to pop, recording with Prince collaborators Dr. Fink, St. Paul Peterson, and David Rivkin, who produced their debut album at Nicolette Studios.
She's always talking when she should be listening. Can't keep a secret.
Crush on You reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1986, becoming the family's first major pop smash.
But still I trusted her with all I felt inside.
The song later became the foundation for French house anthem Intro by Alan Braxe and Fred Falk in 2000, introducing the hook to a new generation of electronic music fans.
I never knew a rumor could spread so fast.
Their debut album went platinum. They performed at the 7th game of the 1987 World Series in Minneapolis. They sang at 2 Olympic ceremonies.
How did you know? 'Cause I never told. You found out.
8 siblings from Tonga, by way of Minneapolis, by way of a car radio playing Elton John. That is one of the greatest origin stories in 80s pop history.
Maybe I was the one who left the trace. Was there a message?
Their story is proof that talent doesn't care where you're born. It only cares that someone finally hears it.
Was it my eyes that let you know you had control?
The Jets carried their culture halfway across the world and put it on the pop chart. The next group on this list carried an even stranger journey, a song that almost didn't make it past Portland, Oregon, until the Netherlands decided otherwise.
Because the way you move was so self-assured.
9. Nu Shooz, I Can't Wait, 1986. Found its way to the Netherlands, where DJ Peter Sloghouse discovered it in a record bin. by accident. The next group on this list made history on purpose, and they did it with a beat so minimal it barely seemed like a song at all. 8. Mtume, Juicy Fruit, 1983.
You know very well what you are.
James Mtume called his philosophy neo-minimalism. In a 2014 interview with Red Bull Music Academy, he explained it plainly. "I was experimenting with how to take less and make it sound more.
You're my sugar thing, my chocolate star.
If you listen to Juicy Fruit, there's only 4 or 5 instruments played, and there was no reverb on nothing. So it sounded like you could have played it in your basement."
I've had a few, but not that many. But you're
He built the track around a Lin LM1 drum machine, and then called singer Tawatha Ag, who was in London on a break from touring with Roxy Music, as a backup vocalist. She flew back to New York for the sessions.
the only love that gives me good and plenty.
Mtume didn't have the second verse written when she arrived. She recorded the first verse while he finished composing the second. They completed the entire song in one night. She flew back to London the next morning. Juicy Fruit hit #1 on the Billboard R&B chart on June 4, 1983, and stayed there for 8 weeks. It was certified gold, selling 1 million copies despite never breaking the pop top 40. Then, in 1994, Puff Daddy played the instrumental version for the Notorious B.I.G. in the studio. Biggie rapped over it and released Juicy, now widely considered one of the greatest hip-hop records ever made. Mtume's original beat has since been sampled by Jennifer Lopez, Alicia Keys, Snoop Dogg, Faith Evans, and more than 100 other artists. 5 instruments, no reverb, 1 night, 100 samples. The greatest records don't just inspire listeners, they quietly become the foundation for the artists who come next. That is what neo-minimalism sounds like when it works. Before we get to number 7, if these stories are hitting you the way they're hitting us, hit that subscribe button right now and stay connected. Retro Vinyl brings you a new one every single week.
You're right here with me.
7. Sky, Call Me, 1981. Sky were a 9-piece funk band from Brooklyn, New York, anchored by 3 sisters, Denise, Bonnie, and Dolores Dunning, whose vocal harmonies gave the group a warmth and tightness that pure studio acts could never replicate. Formed in the mid-1970s, they signed with Salsoul Records and began building a following on the New York club circuit through sheer live performance energy. Their horn sections, tight rhythm sections, and the Dunning sisters' layered vocals became a signature combination. Call Me, released in 1981, distilled everything that worked about Sky into a single, irresistible pop-funk track built on a bouncing bass line and a call-and-response hook so simple it felt inevitable. The song reached number 26 on the Billboard R&B chart and became one of the most heavily sampled tracks of the early hip-hop era. Their catalog was pulled apart and rebuilt by house DJs, hip-hop producers, and club remixers throughout the 1980s and into the 1990s, with artists like Heavy D, Big L, and multiple dance producers, all borrowing from Sky's groove library. Their influence on the infrastructure of New York dance music ran far deeper than their chart positions ever reflected. Some groups don't need to top the chart to own the culture. Charts measure popularity. Influence is measured by how many people borrow your ideas years later. Sky understood that from the first note. Sky built the foundation that hip-hop and house music both borrowed from. The next group built something just as foundational, but they did it while also secretly running half of 80s pop music from behind the scenes. Six. Full Force. Alice, I Want You Just For Me, 1985.
I don't wanna share you with no one else. Alice, be my girl.
Full Force were 6 men from Brooklyn who managed to occupy 2 completely separate lanes of the music industry at the same time, and most people only knew about one of them.
Girl, I want to shower you with diamonds and pearls.
As a performing group, they delivered hard-hitting electro-funk records with a New York street-level energy that felt nothing like the polished Quiet Storm productions dominating radio.
When we're all alone, I'll take you for a trip around the world.
But behind the scenes, they were writing and producing hits for artists across the entire pop spectrum.
Yes, indeed, I like your style. Ooh, you're worth my while.
They produced Lisa Lisa and Cult Jam's biggest records. They created the rap group UTFO and co-wrote Roxanne, Roxanne. They later produced for Samantha Fox.
Baby, I'm your carpenter, please let me lay your tile.
And in the 1990s, they produced and wrote material for the Backstreet Boys, including helping shape some of the group's early catalog.
After school, can I please take you to the picture?
Alice, I Want You Just For Me hit number 5 on the Billboard R&B chart in 1985, giving Full Force their highest charting moment as a lead act.
Ladies that are after me, you're the only one I want to know.
The song's muscular, heavy-hitting groove became a mid-80s New York anthem, and the video, featuring the group in full street-cool swagger, made clear that these were not background players pretending to be stars.
I can't wait till after school. It's hard to keep my cool.
They were stars who happened to also build other people's careers on the side. Full Force are proof that genius doesn't always need to wear its name on the outside.
Meet me on the staircase, girl. Let's break the golden rule.
Full Force ran the industry from behind the curtain. The next group ran the charts from right out front, and they did it with a groove so smooth it didn't even need to announce itself.
I want you just for me.
5. Starpoint, Object of My Desire, 1985.
Cause you're the object of my desire.
Starpoint were a true family affair, built around brothers Ernesto, Orlando, and George Phillips Jr. from the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area of Maryland.
You glanced my way, I lost all control.
Who had been grinding on the regional funk circuit since the late 1970s, before landing on Elektra Records in the mid-1980s.
My body quivered, hot flashes ignited in me.
They brought in vocalist Renee Diggs, whose bright, high-energy delivery gave the group a pop accessibility that their pure funk roots alone might not have achieved.
Gazing deep into my eyes, you spoke these words.
Object of My Desire, released in 1985, was built on a driving synth-funk bass line and a chorus that hit so effortlessly, it felt less written than discovered. The kind of hook that sounds like it always existed, and someone simply found it.
Let me share a night in your fantasy.
The song hit number 13 on the Billboard R&B chart and became a genuine crossover moment for the group, crossing into dance clubs and pop radio alongside urban airplay.
You spoke these words, I was hypnotized. Let me
Starpoint followed it up with a string of additional R&B hits through the late 1980s, cementing their place as one of the era's most consistent mid-tier acts.
turn on, emotions so strong, passion's fire.
But Object of My Desire remains their calling card. The song that proves a perfectly constructed synth-funk groove needs nothing extra to work. No tricks, no gimmicks. Just the bass line, the hook, and Renee Diggs refusing to let you walk away. Can you still picture where you were the first time that bass line came through the speakers? Some songs don't just play, they arrive. Starpoint gave their best shot and hit the mark clean. The next group on this list gave their best shot on a stage in the United Kingdom and accidentally changed the history of dance in the process. Four. Shalamar, A Night to Remember, 1982.
When you love someone, it's natural, not demanding.
Here is the moment. It is 1982. Jodie Watley is pregnant and cannot travel. Howard Hewitt is unavailable. A British television producer needs Shalamar to perform A Night to Remember on Top of the Pops, one of the UK's most watched music programs.
I'm so glad we reached an understanding. Now I know my heart.
Jeffrey Daniel, the group's dancer-vocalist, volunteers to fly to London alone with no other band members. He gets in his hotel room, puts on the Friends cassette, stands in front of the mirror, and puts together a dance routine.
That's one thing I'm proud to say I found in you. I'm so glad
Then he walks onto the stage of Top of the Pops and, during the bass breakdown of the song, slides backward across the floor in a move he called the backslide. And several viewers at home genuinely believed the floor had been oiled or that wheels were hidden in his shoes.
now I know my heart is safe with you.
The performance made Jeffrey Daniel a star in the UK overnight. Michael Jackson, who had been watching Daniel since his Soul Train days, sought him out.
Gonna make this a night to remember.
Jackson learned the backslide from Daniel, and in March 1983, at the Motown 25th anniversary special, he performed it on national television and called it the moonwalk.
Celebrations in the heart 'cause we're united.
The move that defined Michael Jackson's legacy was invented, named, and first performed on British television by a member of a group most people have forgotten.
There's nothing in this world to come between me and you. We're together.
A Night to Remember peaked at number 8 on the R&B chart. The dance it carried into the world peaked at a level that has no chart.
Let's make a toast to those who helped make this occasion.
Some performances don't just entertain, they quietly rewrite music history.
They turn their back on love, but that's what drove you straight to me.
Jeffrey Daniel gave the moonwalk to the world. If you watched music television in the early 80s, did you see Jeffrey Daniel before the world knew the moonwalk? Or did you only discover that story years later?
Gonna make this a night to remember.
3. Imagination, Just an Illusion, 1982.
Searching for a destiny that's mine. There's
Imagination were a three-piece UK soul group, vocalist Lee John, keyboardist Ashley Ingram, and drummer Errol Kennedy, who arrived in 1981 with a sound that felt simultaneously futuristic and intimate.
touching many hearts along the way, yeah.
Their production approach layered electronic keyboards over live percussion in a way that created genuine sensual tension. Not loud, not aggressive, just quietly irresistible.
I'll never have to say it's just an illusion.
Just an Illusion, released in 1982, was built around a melody so atmospheric and so hypnotic that it felt less like a pop song and more like a late-night state of mind.
Is it really magic in the air? Never let
The keyboard hook that opens the record has been described by producers and musicians as one of the best constructed synthesizer lines of the era.
never let your feelings get you down.
The song hit number 2 in the UK, where Imagination were genuine superstars throughout the early 1980s, amassing a string of top 5 singles and performing to enormous crowds across Europe.
Open up your eyes and look around. It's just an illusion.
In America, their profile remained frustratingly low despite critical admiration. The fact that Queen Elizabeth II personally presented the group with a gold disc for their UK record sales gives you some measure of just how significant they were on their home territory.
Only in my dreams I'll turn you on.
Just an Illusion has since found a second life through samples and electronic remixes and continues to appear on deep-cut 80s soul playlists for listeners who understand that some of the greatest music of the decade never crossed the Atlantic.
Here for just a moment, then you're gone. It's just an illusion.
Imagination built a legend in the UK that America barely noticed. Our final two groups on this list built legends that America felt deeply and still hasn't fully given them credit for. The Whispers, Rock Steady, 1987.
You stole my heart, you are all that I anticipated.
The Whispers had already been together for over 20 years when Rock Steady came out. Walter and Wallace Scott, Nicholas Caldwell, Marcus Hudson, and Level Degree had been making music together since 1964, surviving lineup changes, label transitions, and decade shifts with a consistency that most groups never come close to.
But I knew love would be complicated. I began to touch.
By 1987, they had been through the soul era, the disco era, the quiet storm era, and were now staring down the new jack swing era.
It never seemed to be the right time. I started to give up.
Rather than retreat into nostalgia, they called in production duo Babyface and L.A. Reid, still members of The Deal at the time, and made their most contemporary-sounding record ever.
Started to give up. Down to the limit. And then you
Rock Steady hit number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on the R&B chart in 1987, becoming the biggest pop crossover of their entire career.
And then you change your mind, oh, and we begin to rock.
The song's slick synth-funk groove and flawlessly executed harmonies felt completely current, while also carrying the warmth and precision that only 2 decades of performing together could provide.
Begin to rock, steady, rock.
That unity wasn't just something you heard in their harmonies. It defined the way they lived. When longtime member Marcus Hudson became seriously ill and could no longer tour, the group continued paying him his full share and helped cover his medical expenses.
Then you walked into my life, oh, and we
They refused to treat him like a former member because, to them, he never stopped being family. In an industry where groups often fall apart over money and fame, the Whispers chose loyalty instead.
You looked at me, to my surprise. You would
The Whispers were already legends when they made this record. Rock Steady proved they weren't finished becoming one. After 20-plus years together, they still had their biggest pop hit still ahead of them.
it was in your eyes that you were getting tired of waiting.
Longevity is one thing. Reinvention is something else entirely. The Whispers mastered both.
You wanted me so much, but I didn't get it.
Maybe. That's the greatest lesson from their story. Real legends don't chase trends, they survive them.
I started to give up, but love wouldn't let it. Then you
That is not underrated. That is simply one of the great stories in soul music, and it deserves to be told louder.
walked into my life, and we began to ride.
When Rock Steady comes on today, what comes back first? The lyrics, the dance floor, or the people you shared those moments with?
Till the break of, rocking till the break of dawn.
And perhaps that's been the story of every group we've celebrated tonight.
I don't care about the other girls, just because
12 more groups, 12 more sounds, 12 more reasons why the 80s R&B catalog runs deeper than any playlist has ever been able to contain.
was there a message written on my face? Were my emotions
These artists didn't need the biggest spotlight to leave the biggest mark. They just needed the right song, the right moment, and listeners who never stopped believing in the music.
you're the object of my desire?
Now I'd love to hear from you. Which group from Part 2 doesn't just remind you of a memory, but actually takes you back there? Tell us where it takes you. And if there's another group you think deserves the retro vinyl spotlight, leave their name in the comments. We read every one. This is Retro Vinyl. Until next time, keep the needle on the record and the volume right where it belongs.